Nah, that's old school, Pops. You need to keep your pimp hands strong.
The second. Here's Craig Smith back out for Foxa. Backhand shot. Score! Behind the net. Stone. Centering catch. Broken up. And that will do it. The Dallas Stars win game 7 and will move on to face the Colorado Avalanche. What the Rock is cooking.
Recording live from three locations. This is Past the Rock. I'm Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by two great men, Jacob, a.k.a. Bethke.
Just here siphon through dick jokes and Giselle Bundchen jokes for you, the people.
And Caesar, a.k.a. LCs.
Here to reassure our core audience that nobody on this show is a 69 god.
Yeah, we'll get there. I don't want to waste any time, so we'll just get right to... I'm happy to take this copyright hit every time until maybe someday it costs us money. Yeah, so obviously there's a lot to talk about this week, a lot going on in the world. But the first thing that I really wanted to bring to the attention of everybody is the JHOAN DURAN entrance, if you guys haven't seen it yet.
Oh, Duran. He's better than our Duran, I'm assuming.
Oh.
El que quiera perder su tiempo que me aconseje. Que estoy en romo pero feo. Y hoy hay que darme banda. Dame la boca que andamos en jangueo y ruta. Que viva este teo y desacato. Vivete la vida y disfruta.
Minnesota!
Yeah.
They got 3 beat switches.
Let's talk about how fun baseball could be in a world where people are allowed to do stuff like that. Luckily, the Twins.
That was great.
The Twins are doing that. I'll fix that in post where they can hear it better. And y'all should check that out on your own where you can actually hear it better because it sounds dope as fuck as well. But that's fun. That's a thing that baseball's missing in this country that it has in other countries is people singing songs.
You know, they sped up the games, so now theoretically there's more, and this could be good for. This could incentivize people to be
pretty
relief
much have
pitchers.
to be a closer, yeah.
So this is an interesting concept
And
here.
to be fair, I mean,
Now,
everyone's got their music. His is just a little more cinematic.
they do a lot with it. There's a lot of thought.
yeah, now I will say this. When I heard the gong noise, for those who know, that's the Undertaker's.
I thought the same thing, yeah.
That's the start of the Undertaker's theme song, right? I'm thinking, all right, because I didn't know anything about this guy's entrance until just now. It's like, is he coming out to the Undertaker's music? Because you have to be lights out to come out to a wrestling theme song like that. Because if you blow the save now, you just ruin that for yourself and for the audience at home.
Is it bad that I thought it was the SVU theme for just the first second I turned it on? When you sent it to us?
Man.
It's not because I've seen that. It's just yeah. And then I was like, okay, I haven't seen the wrestling clips come on and off. I leave the wrestling to the professionals.
Fair enough. So I just wanted to show what we could have in this country if we really put our minds to it. And that leads to WWE Backlash, which if you are a fan of this pod and you know what we do, we have a Wrestling Royale side project where Caesar covers wrestling and I ask dumb questions. So we had
Great
WWE
dynamic.
As
Backlash
Americans should.
in Lyon, France. And as Caesar can attest to, there was a crowd there that rivaled any crowd we might have seen before in wrestling.
Probably the best crowd ever of all time, and it just leads to the discussion of. And I know that Becky shot this down before with the European crowd, South American crowds being really bombastic. Some would say even overly passionate. But I think this crowd probably struck the right balance of passionate without getting out of hand. And it was just a beautiful thing to see. And it's one of those things where you're like, man, there's just no culture of that in professional sports in America, or at least no sustained culture of that.
Hey, technically, the Malice at the Palace was culture.
Yeah, again, you'll have to watch crowd clips just to see what I'm saying, but I get you on that one. But yeah, no, that crowd was incredible. I wish you could see more of it at like baseball events, football, basketball, without it getting, obviously violent. But
Well, there's an ass whooping at an NFL stadium every day.
Yeah, that's not what we're looking for. And Caesar mentioned in Wrestling Royale that it was, the closest thing we have is college football, and there's some of that in our college football for sure.
I think college basketball also, and I wouldn't even wonder how volleyball travels at the big schools, right? Because volleyball is a pretty big deal to those who play, especially in California.
Yeah. Now, I will say this, though. Becky, if you can, just look up clips of the Lyon France crowd, just the reaction to what's going on. That is sustained for 3 hours consecutively. It's not just like, because we've all been to games, professional, college, of some sort.
They're like, we're about to be on TV. Pump it up.
Yeah, there's always there's always moments where the crowd does pump itself up, but it's very short bursts. This one was bell to bell from start of the show to the end of the show. It was 3 hours of just unbelievable energy. I don't know how they did it. I guess it's because of the novelty of the fact that they don't get this kind of opportunity to see a show like this.
It's very rare. I was very spoiled as a kid because I grew up right as Baylor was getting RG3. And so, like, when they were in that little bitty rinky-dink stadium, Floyd Casey, no one really expected shit. I used to go there every year. My grandfather had season tickets. I was happy to go see the next few great NFL players come through, either Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, whoever's coming through at this time. But then to see them start to actually get that like team that could compete, and then a team that could actually win games and steal big games, like just the stunned ability to like see that allowed that crowd to be as lively as you'll ever get it. But then now you go to Waco, and of course they have a big, beautiful new stadium, but then all of that love and lore has been ripped out of it. Famously, this also happened in Golden State with the Warriors, where the heart and soul, I mean, you could argue the Cowboys, but hell, that happened so long ago. I couldn't even experience the pre-Jerry World Cowboys. So the culture of our stadiums is definitely an interesting difference because overseas people are too passionate for me sometimes. The flares terrify me. I would never want to be in a stand with people with flares. That happens a lot. That's the one where I'm like, no, I specifically don't want to be whoever does this. There's also some racial stuff that's unfortunate, but that's sort of rare. I guess the passion is fun though. It actually reminds me. I was seeing a fucking European game last week, I think, where and I believe it was in Greece, where two fucking sides of the court stormed onto the court and like overtook each other.
Like a fucking
I was like,
pit.
I was like, fuck. I was like, fuck that. So yeah, it's nice to see that wrestling's going to capitalize on that. And it's also a little bit nicer to me that they get a better response than the NFL.
It was cool.
For sure.
I just wanted to make sure everyone knows that happened, and that was it was a unique event for that reason. We'll quickly go.
Step your game up, U.S. wrestling crowd.
Yeah, no kidding. You got some time, but you got to match that. We'll go quickly into our obligatory Rangers talk. Can't hit first place because technically after the loss in the first game of the doubleheader, we're now back to second place Texas Rangers. More injury news. Wyatt Langford's on the IL for a bit.
That's not it. Dane Dunning
Dane Dunning went today.
Oh.
Yeah, I forgot. I saw that too.
Evaldi's been, but they'll
Yeah.
both be back quickly, allegedly.
But I mean, they're still, they're treading water. 21-17 as we speak. Currently playing against the A's in Game 2 of a doubleheader. But
today
even
it's
if we win
21-17,
this and the Mariners win, then we're still in second place by a couple percentage points for the time being. But anyways, they're keeping afloat despite an injured list that could be an all-star team. At least
I'm going to say this about that. I'm going to say this. I know this is probably just one of those years of freak injuries, but maybe invest a little bit more money into your training staff just to keep these guys healthy. You know,
I mean, most of these injuries
We're
are
trying-
guys who were injured before. I mean, the top end guys, DeGrom, Scherzer, they were already hurt before they came here.
We made this.
I'm just saying
that was always going to happen.
We bought defective.
I'm just saying as a
products. We're mad
general.
now.
Yeah, I'm just saying in general, it wouldn't hurt to maybe invest a little bit more in that department.
But I like
especially
talking
since now
shit.
you're trying to. Yeah, but the only reason I'm saying this is because we're trying to create a dynasty here, and to do that, you got to have your players available.
But you got to talk some shit. I was talking shit about Marcus getting taken off of the first. Look at it. Look at what he's been doing since I said that. Look at that. Today was bullshit. Today, I think they should all be embarrassed with themselves. That was a very embarrassing game to
Just
give
some
up
bad.
like
There's some pretty bad defense out there.
Exactly. On top of the home run kings that all these starting pitchers are, and then what's it called? The having 15 fucking runs and then still needing almost all of those. That's frustrating.
Yeah, that sometimes that happens when you have that when you have that big of a lead. It's just kind of like
is Yeri Rodriguez? Is Yeri Rodriguez going to win the World Series for us this year? Is that the trajectory we're on?
It happens.
Is he Spores 2.0?
Jose Leclerc last year looked terrible this time of year, and then all of a sudden.
That's what I'm saying. Is because Yeri, every time I see fucking Y Rodriguez on the fucking ticker thing, if I'm not watching it,
who knows?
I just know to stop. I just know to turn it off. Just like Spores last year. Just turn it off. I don't need to know. I'll find out tomorrow.
The real point is they're floating around first in the division while being just decimated with injuries. So the idea is that if they can keep this up, then they'll be in a good spot as people start coming back. Because no one's taking this division by storm by any means. So
who are the Submariners playing?
Are they still playing the Dodgers?
I know the a-holes are playing the Skanks.
Not the Dodgers. Mariners.
The Twins.
I'm always
Twins.
Oh, there you go. So they got to deal with that scary ass closer music all the time. So yeah, there you go. That's easy losses.
That's just a quick check in on our currently second place Texas Rangers.
Mediocre.
We'll hop quick into hockey. Obviously, a lot's changed since the last time we talked about it. The Stars rallied back from being down 2-0, won that series against Vegas in 7 games at home in Game 7, and now they're playing the Colorado Avalanche. And then, unfortunately, last night, Stars went ahead in Game 1 and dropped a three-goal lead, and then lost in overtime 4-3.
When were they up 3-0? When did the 3-1 goal happen? Do you know?
Early in the second.
Okay, that's still frustrating, but
they got 2 quickly in the second, and then I don't think they scored the third until the third, if I remember correctly. But it was kind of, the Stars had plenty of opportunities. They could have put that game even further away earlier. And then you saw some fatigue in the team. They came out really hot, and then it looked like they kind of burned themselves out after playing a 7-game series, and Colorado was like, hey, we've just been chilling for a week, so we're good to keep fucking running. But other than, maybe 10 to 18 minutes of them looking really tired and dead, I think they played really well. And I'll be happy if they play like that the rest of the series. I think we're fine.
Yeah, no more 0-2 at home bullshit. Though.
Yeah, you'd like to avoid that.
Let's not do that. That's some cowboy shit. And if you want to start getting called the Cowboys of hockey, this is how it happens. So get right, Stars. We love you, but don't fucking do this. It's unnecessary to have 2 of these disparagements in our city.
Yeah, and our coach, Pete DeBoer, kind of said in his post-game interview, without saying names, that, the star players need to put up some more points, our heavier, bigger paid guys. And that's your Pavelski, your Rupe Hintz, maybe even your Tyler Seguin, although he plays really well in other
Numbers
ways.
on the board.
Ben's been there pretty much the whole first round and through game one. So you need some other. Really, you need Rupe. You need Rupe to come back because he's kind of the missing piece on the offense right now.
You need Rupe to be a Ruby.
But that's that. Obviously, there's gonna be moving past it. Obviously, we got game 2 tomorrow night in Dallas. Again, another kind of late start because the Central Time Zone is cursed in hockey playoffs. Probably in basketball too.
Basically, you just become the West Coast at that point to the East Coast. That's where you learn the true East Coast bias.
Coast, yeah, for sure. It's really unfortunate. It's nice during the regular season we're not in the Pacific anymore because we were for a lot of my life, and that's playing a lot of San Jose, Anaheim games on school nights. But still
like tonight, the Rangers are gonna start their opening pitch. I mean, it's a doubleheader, so it makes a little sense. But when's that starting pitch tonight?
I mean, they already started. They're in the 4th inning now.
That game has already started?
Yeah.
The second doubleheader?
Jack Leiter's already been throwing balls?
Yeah, it's currently 7-6 Rangers. Jack Leiter just gave up another 2-run bomb.
Oh, god damn. What the fuck is this fucking team, bro?
Look.
Leiter.
Jack Leiter getting light up. Yeah.
If he survives through this inning, it's all good.
At least we're doing this shit, you know?
Anyways.
At least we'll be dealing with other people's old people shit, and Jack can just,
it's the second start. Second start in the big leagues. He's fine. I'm not too worried.
He can just keep coming back, right? We can just keep pulling him up and down while we're injured, right?
There's a lot of rules that I don't know about with how that works, but this time doesn't cost us anything, is what I read this morning from Evan Grant, I believe. Maybe Adam Morris. I don't remember. But anyways. Stars, Rangers. That's pretty much it. We're gonna go ahead and move on because we got a lot to hit. We'll give it over.
The Dallas Stars deserve love, but
you don't think there's any statistic.
You don't think there's any statistic you want to see dominate. You just think this was a tired team.
For sure. And I mean, like I said, they could have put in 2 or 3 more goals in the first, and that's kind of been their bugaboo through this whole playoffs.
Yeah,
just not scoring.
This was me finishing the last period.
And I definitely missed some minutes between the third and overtime a little bit, but
no, I passed out at overtime. Yeah, I woke up this morning and was just like, damn. But there was I think it was Hintz that had a 1-on-1 and then kind of overshot the goal.
Look, yeah, and there's just been there were too many situations like that, and then some pretty sloppy turnovers when they were not playing their best in the second, and bad penalties, which you can't take in the playoffs. Especially against a team like Colorado, who is going to be a little bit faster and more skilled than most teams. So you give them that extra space of one less guy out there. They're very dangerous. But I think we're fine. I'm not too worried about it yet.
Well, I mean, it sucks because even if they go down 2-0-2, it's still like, well, they did just do this.
And I'm pretty sure that they've lost the first game in pretty much every round in the last 2 years. So what do you...
Shout out to Jason Kidd.
Yeah, well, I guess that's good. That's as good a time as I need to go ahead and just pass this rock on.
Whoa, no!
I got to do my own.
Oh, no. The fumbles. I'm turning the ball over. Don't worry, we're shooting at a high clip. We're the Warriors. We can turn the ball over because we're gonna make some shots. All right. Welcome to Hoop and Hoops Accessories. The accessories this week are going to revolve around the awards, the postseason awards, the ones you care about the most, the ones you probably gambled on. We're going to start. Well, I mean, Patrick, I don't know if he's ready to start with this one yet, but tonight the MVP was announced, so we'll go ahead and start with that one. Nikola Jokic unfortunately did win this award for the 3rd time in his career. He is now tied with Moses Malone, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird. He still would need 1 more to tie Bron and Wilt Chamberlain, 2 more to tie Michael Jeffrey Jordan and Bill Russell, and 3 to tie the cap, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Good for Nikola, but I think we'll talk more about...
He's good. He deserves that award.
There's bigger fish to fry.
I could say Luka's got a case, but I'm fine with
Luka has a great case.
With
the Mavs,
Nikola winning it.
I said it. If the Mavs were the 4 and not the 5, I think he probably could have stole it.
If the Mavs were
SGA
in
may
the
have not
East,
done
if the
that.
Mavs were in the East and they were a 1 or a 2 seed, he'd get that award.
No, I agree with that, but I'm just saying the on the side that they're at, I think he could have just done that at the fourth place. But Shea deserved probably more credit than he's gotten. Unfortunately, Shea plays on a fucking fantastic basketball team, and we're gonna have to get into them a little bit as we go. But the other Player of the Year award that we'll get to before there's a little gloating and celebration here is Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, fourth of his career. That ties him with Ben Wallace and Dikembe Mutombo, which is actually funny because that's both of those. All three of those guys just can't play a lick of offense. So that's kind of fun that all three of them have accomplished this in their career.
Yeah, but who finished second?
The second place vote was it Wemby? I actually didn't even look that far. Well, he finished number one with all 99 votes for the Rookie of the Year award. So take a bow. Take a bow. The only comment I have about this is the TNT thing was pretty amazing. If you guys didn't watch it. So first of all, the way that Ernie started talking about it made it sound like they were about to announce that Chet and Wemby had tied. Because he was just bringing up historical evidence or just bringing up facts. And then he brought up the tied one. And I was like, why would he bring the tie up? That's weird. It's happened a couple times. But I was like, surely it's not this year. I mean, sure, it's a little bit of a weird argument, but it feels like we all agreed at the end. And it did turn out that we all agreed because 99 out of 99 votes went to Victor Wembanyama.
They couldn't vote for anyone else. Come on.
I did not write down all the other unanimous Rookie of the Years, but we did find out somebody who wasn't a unanimous Rookie of the Year on live TV last night. Shaq himself learned that he was not on that list, and it was pretty funny
Who else got
because, and that's actually part of the joke last night. So Ernie's reading it off, and we don't actually see this because they're not on camera when Ernie's reading this, and then Chuck just starts laughing. And he goes, "Y'all should have seen Shaq's face when he saw he wasn't on that list." He said he started checking the card, and then he was like, "Who didn't vote for me?" And he's like, 2 votes for Alonzo Mourning. And Shaq was just mad as hell. He's like, all right. And Ernie's like, "But it's Alonzo Mourning." He's like, "No, that should have been me." And nope.
It's fair. He's lucky it wasn't just someone no one would have even remembered hearing the name of. So
no, it's fun. It's objectively funnier that it's someone he's good friends with. So yeah, that'll
like a great player.
So. Yes, and a Hall of Famer himself. Yeah, so that's the awards. All of those gentlemen that we've talked about, or 2 of those gentlemen we've talked about, are playing in the same series tonight. We will get to that, but we're going to talk first briefly about the people who aren't going to be with us any longer this season. A little 1, 2, 3 Cancun. We're going to try as hard as we can to fly through this with all the stuff that's more fun to talk about, but let's go ahead and start with the Miami Heat because Pat Riley talks once a year, and it's always the flamest team after they've lost, after they've inevitably not won a championship. No matter how far they've gotten, it's here to flame them. There's questions now about this being the end of the Jimmy Butler era. They have to make a decision on extending him this season, which I'm sure he is absolutely 100% positively looking forward to. His camp just keeps putting out reports that he wants to be here. Of course, Miami, and wants to retire, win a championship, all the good, beautiful stuff you put in the papers whenever you want that big, fat payday to come in your bankroll. But Pat says no trade is coming. Pat seems to also not necessarily be the nicest about Jimmy's comments all of a sudden. He told Jimmy basically not to be making comments since he wasn't playing. He told Eric Spoelstra that he needed to step up. What else did he say? Oh, he said the games played rule that everyone hates because it's not helping certain players get to award stats. He said it's just an excuse to miss 17 games or whatever.
Yeah.
So he went elite boomer take. We appreciate that. Oh, he ripped Udonis Haslem, someone who still works for the team and has a podcast where
I was going to say they're surely setting up Jimmy to be the next Udonis Haslem, right?
No, this is just how Miami works. And this is what cracks me up is because everyone's like, this means that Jimmy's going to get traded. This means that Pat's going to push too far. And it's like, no, this is why we always knew Jimmy needed to be in Miami because all these sick motherfuckers deserve each other. All of them. They all deserve it. Udonis, Spo, Pat, Jimmy, they all deserve each other.
It
So
works.
that's where they
mostly.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And then this week, this is a kind of to merge the Shaq and Pat Riley conversation. We found out a little funny anecdote that I thought I would share. So remember that Shaquille O'Neal was traded from the Miami Heat to the Phoenix Suns in 2007, I believe, and it would have been for Sean Marion and stuff, basically, right? Eventually, Sean Marion gets flipped to the Raptors.
Was Shaq on that team where we checked Steve Nash?
Yeah, no, it would have been 08. You're right. It would have been 08.
Okay.
So good call. It would
I
have
was
been
just
08.
making sure. I was like, I don't know. I feel like I would have seen him involved in that.
You're right. It would have been 08. So it would have been the year after, the season after that. The 07, 08 season, probably, right? Yeah. Because that would have been the end of the 06.
So yeah, you're right. It could have been 07 still. Sorry.
So basically, Shaq has an issue with Pat Riley yelling at White Chocolate as he comes into the gym late. Shaq stands up for him. Pat's having a bad day. Pat starts screaming at Shaq. Shaq starts screaming at Pat. Pat says, "I'm trading your ass." Shaq gets kicked out of the building. Pat actually trades his ass. So that's the true story of Shaq getting traded from Miami, which is it helps make a lot of sense because it was a very rushed trade. It ruined the Suns' window. It ruined the Cavs' window because the Cavs arguably should have gotten Shaq because they eventually get him a year later when it's too late. And if they would have gotten him a year earlier, they may not have made, I think, the Ben Wallace trade. But I might be getting my dates mixed up. But ultimately, Shaq and LeBron pairing, if it ever had a chance, should have happened at that point when their basketball team fit the mold, not when Shaq was going to go slow down the fastest basketball team in history to that point. Yeah. So it was just hilarious that all went down. And then a bonus, Cinco de Mayo was Sunday, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. was at the White House, and that just was random as fuck to me. I was just like, all right, here we
I
go.
saw that. I was shaking my head when I saw that. I was like, I got sent that, and like, all right, he's there. Why him of all people?
I'm telling you. Either way, Miami Heat, good luck on the offseason. Good luck in the trade rumors. You know that the Lakers, the Heat, they're always going to be there at this point. The Knicks probably at this point too. Let's see. Milwaukee Bucks. It's time to say 1, 2, 3 Cancun to these folks. Injuries bought you another year, so that's nice. Doc Rivers, Giannis, Dame. The excuse is there. You get the built-in excuse, so you got that.
Well, you were hoping the excuse would be Doc Rivers. You can get on with him quickly, but apparently not.
Not likely. Got to get deeper. You got to get younger. Good luck doing that with no assets and being cash poor. At least on the cap side, not an ownership joke there. And then, of course, I guess probably the biggest piece of advice is, for the love of God, whatever happens to Pat Beverly, just let it happen on someone else's roster. He tossed the ball at a fan twice. He was a goober in the locker room
after.
Subscribe
to his podcast, or
I am not. Oh, we can't talk about this actually. So let's move. We have to move on. Oh, but there is an important report. The police are investigating the matter now. So bye, Pat Bev. Sorry, Barstool. Oh, Barstool made a bad hire out of poor judgment. What a shock.
I will say this. Okay. I'm just gonna say it was so funny. 2019. He's like, these next 5 years are gonna be mine. Ain't shit in Pat Bev's.
No, you're right. The infamous Paul George, Kawhi Leonard
playoff P
pairing. Yep, those two were paired together, and apparently they were all in Vegas because it was summer league, and they were all partying, and apparently they gloated and ran past LeBron James and made fun of the Lakers and how it was their time now. And of course, the Lakers bumblefucked their way into a championship the next season, and 5 years later, Pat Bev's on 5 different teams. Oh, and an IST, and they got an IST title. So there's that. We have to get to the Clippers, but not quite yet. Philadelphia 76ers, you're going to be the most interesting team in basketball this offseason, but you are no longer a part of this regular season or this season anymore. They have all the money in the world. They have decent assets, and they have 2 of the game's more electric offensive players, even if not inconsistent on the other end of the basketball court. There's a lot of windows for them to improve. They're certainly probably going to push their chips into the Paul George sweepstakes, as funny as that might sound. I'm sure they're going to be interested in trying to make a trade if it's possible. Look, we will get to them as it comes. Like I said, it's very interesting because clearly they planned for this offseason to have basically only Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid on the books. And so that's an interesting thing no matter what. So it gives them a lot of options.
I'll say this. Congrats to the fans who never have to boo Tobias Harris in a Sixers jersey.
Yes. And I
now they just have to boo him in a different jersey.
I want to stand up for Tobias Harris and say, good luck. You're going to be on a better contract and have a better role next year, even if it's just being a mentor, while also saying
Did you say better contract?
Yeah, well, better contract.
They just get better every year. I mean, there's more money every year. So
I'm talking about a better contract for the fans to read when they go to their fucking spot track instead of that $50 million. I'm saying it's going to say like 5 to 10 million, and they're going to be like, you know what, Tobias is a really good player right now. And that's
I was going to say, there's no way that he got a pay increase after that playoff.
No, he's not going to be in. No, I think he'll still get a decent paycheck. I don't think he'll be getting anywhere near the max. But that's Philadelphia. Former Tobias Harris teams, the LA Clippers and the Orlando Magic are the last two teams to send off to Cancun. LA our way certainly did not go their way in the first year. It's over for them in the crypto.com arena. They have officially moved on and will have their new Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California for next season. Who will be on the roster remains to be seen. Their last game at crypto.
Does Kawhi have legs anymore?
Does Kawhi have legs anymore? He has a contract. The Clippers
I love that guy, and I think maybe one of my favorite players to ever watch play the game. Just injuries took their toll way too early on him.
And that's where the saddest part of the Clippers story really just comes back to being the Clippers. It's like, of course Kawhi did this to you guys and not the Lakers.
I mean, whoever got him, this was the inevitable outcome that I think we all saw, but you have to try.
Dude, it was such an important win to get Kawhi Leonard the same time that the Lakers get LeBron, basically, and then in the exact same time, and then to lose him or to consistently be so close or so like competent at times, and then just have it always pulled out under you the same way.
Yes, I love it.
Charlie Brown with the football style. That's just two Clippers,
they
bro.
They loaded up a team with 2024 Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. I don't know what they thought, how that finishes, but
well, here's the last game at crypto.com at the former Staples Center where they played so much basketball in the years prior. 28 points, 8 for 36 shooting were the three of Paul George, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. Their compatriots, of course, is not Kawhi Leonard because he didn't play. Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, and Norman Powell, guys who have been kind of making this team a very lethal one, were 3 of 14 from deep, and the Mavs easily washed them to move forward.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's where they are. The Clippers
Can I take a victory lap? Can I take a small victory lap on this?
You definitely can.
Hey, James Harden, put on the fat suit, you bum. Enjoy Luka taking over as a scoring king, loser.
We should also mention PJ Washington. We should mention how much of a cult hero he became during this playoff run.
I love him.
Not just that. Did you read the article that came out today about him blaring music in the locker room at crypto.com arena during the last game and annoying? No, he was. So basically what the Mavericks did was they set up a little weight room just outside the door of the Clippers locker room. And what PJ decided to do was blare music incredibly loud. And every time someone would shut the door to the Clippers locker room, he would open it. And this kept happening until James Harden's security broke it up, apparently.
Was he just playing Lil B's, fuck Kevin Durant?
Honestly, I don't know what music was being played. They just said rap music. We're talking about people who love Modest Mouse writing about basketball. They probably didn't know who it was. I love Modest Mouse, but they're like, what is this? This isn't MF Doom. I gotta do it to us, Patrick. You know the demographic.
You're not
writing.
Wrong, yeah. And I've got no room to speak, so
it's just what it is. I don't know who's covering the actual thing, but it is normally somebody who probably isn't listening to very much gangster rap.
It was just too soon before Kendrick and Drake for these people to know what the songs were.
Yeah, basically. So honestly, with it being PJ Washington, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just some simple ass Drake or Migos, Gunna, any Future, all that stuff. But anyway, besides the point. Hey, if he was playing Big X the Plug, shout out to Dallas, that would be very awesome, PJ. But PJ's from like North Dallas, and so I don't know if he's about that life. But anyway, the Orlando Magic. You're gonna have to go into the offseason and be very excited about the duo you have. But you need to realize that one of them is like a bull with the matador pulling the red flag. Paolo Banchero is a fantastic forward. He's going to be one of the best players in basketball. But one of the things that's going to be hard for him to understand is how great he is, but how much he's still going to have to say no to the constant just, I'm going to do it myself. That being said, he's going to need to have better shooters around him so that he actually decides to make those decisions, which is also the question that maybe isn't fair to completely criticize him for. His teammate Franz Wagner was pretty bad in a lot of these games, especially the Game 7. His shooting inconsistency is not awesome. He's still a really awesome player. So basically what I'm looking at is I'm seeing a bunch of veterans on your team that are useful. Consolidate that shit. Bring in a point guard. Bring in some shooting. Make this team better because you really won this series. Like if you watched all 7 games, the Orlando Magic were the better team. But they just couldn't fucking make baskets to save their life. And then just Donovan Mitchell could just deadlift the Cavaliers at pretty much any game. So again, shout out to Donovan Mitchell for his performances. Orlando dominated the first half in Cleveland, like dominated. It was up. They were up 20 something at one point. Then the game starts slipping away. Then the Cavs take a 33-15 third quarter into the series win. And it just young basketball. But a very talented group, well coached, a lot of fun projection you could do with where their future's going. But we'll save that for another time. We're going to dip into the semifinals real quick. Some of these games we can linger on more than others. Depends on how much you guys are going to care. I think we'll leave the big series for last because that's obviously going to be the one we care about the most here in Dallas. Boston Cleveland's probably the game or probably the series that is the least interesting. In fact, some people last night were even calling it like the least playoff atmosphere they'd ever seen. The Cavs played a decent first quarter, but pretty much got buried the whole game, just big brothered without a Kristaps Porzingis on the floor.
It's not great.
I had hopes for this series to be fun, maybe go 6. But even though I know Boston plays with their food and is liable to give up one game, very hard to see this series getting past a gentleman's sweep. If we're wrong, we're wrong. There's not much to talk about other than the fact that Jared Allen's still injured for the Cavaliers. How long that'll take, who knows? The shooting is just not as consistent as it needs to be. It was consistent enough to beat Orlando. It's not going to be consistent enough to beat what you're dealing with Boston. They've got like 5 to 6 guys that can just fucking get hot from deep. And there's nothing you can do about it. Jason Tatum hasn't even been a scorer yet in this fucking playoffs because of the way defenses are playing him. And Boston's eating people alive because of it. So it's a very, very, very difficult team. And Cleveland definitely doesn't feel like they're suited for the matchup. So we'll see, but that's my projection. Keep it in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks and the Pacers played game 1. They're playing game 2 as we speak. This one was an interesting game.
Controversy.
There was plenty of controversy as the last 2-minute report was probably the star of the program again. But I like to look at this one as the Pacers had a very, very good game plan. They have more depth. They have a lot of speed that they can utilize and really put stress on how few players the Knicks have. However, Thibs' blue-collar boys came out, did the grimy work, had some fortune, and stole a Game 1 victory in Madison Square Garden. Jalen Brunson was hitting big shots. I think if they dictate the pace, which feels like is what's happening early in the game right now, they should be able to handle this series. But they did just lose Mitchell Robinson for the rest of the year. So now they're playing with like 6 guys, 7 if Princess Achua can keep on the floor and not be stupid. So yeah, Tom Thibodeau, it's a dream come true for him to have a legitimate excuse to only use 6 to 7 players. Probably something he could have never dreamed of in his life. And I think that it's going to be fun to watch the Knicks get through this.
It's
but
interesting to know how much of their cap space is just unplayed minutes.
Dude, it's crazy. And it's unfortunate because, like, you know, it's just injury at least. At least in prior years, it was because you had shitty players that didn't deserve to be on the court and had big paydays. So, progress.
Yes.
I mean, it's baby steps. So we'll see how they handle it. Indiana's not a great basketball team, in my opinion. They're a really talented one. They've got an interesting future ahead of them. They're fast as hell. They can get into the hot streaks. I just don't trust them. And a lot of the reason why they blew game one is because they don't have that. They don't have the ability to hold on to games. Like, that's kind of the issue with Indiana. That's why everyone keeps talking about the defense, is because they can't hold on to a game they seize.
Sounds like another team that was coached by their coach.
Yeah, it does. But first, we have to get to the other one, I think, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to poke fun at that Jim
Rick
Carroll
Carlisle.
motherfucker.
There was a Rick Carlisle is just white Doc Rivers tweets. That did happen. It happened, guys. I'm just reporting the facts. I didn't make the joke. Reporting the facts. There's some things there. It's there. Just leave it at that.
I think it's developed into that post Mavs title run for sure.
Although, I mean, how much that is, deeper conversation, obviously, but how much that is just being handicapped by your owner and GM.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then you have the whole building up the Pistons thing, and then having beef with the Pistons, going to the Pacers, then having the malice. It's an unfortunate series of events for the early stages of Rick's coaching career, for sure. But again, if there's that many issues in that many places, there is one consistent thing.
It's basketball.
Exactly. There's also a funny story about how Rick Carlisle used to, I think I told you guys, Rick Carlisle used to eat free at some steakhouse in Boston because Larry Bird did an advertisement once for them, but didn't want to take any money. So he just deferred his shit to Rick so that Rick could just fucking eat there all the time.
I'll take that. It's a good deal.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was one of the more funny antidotes of basketball history. Denver, Minnesota. That's a very interesting series. That one will tip off later tonight. It is currently 0-2 Nuggets in favor of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have stolen 2 games in Denver. There's been some great still shots.
I think this is good for my cheering on the Mavs this year. Maybe.
If the Mavs get past OKC.
It is and it isn't. It depends on what you believe about the injuries of the Mavericks that we'll get into. But ultimately, the part of this series is it feels like the Nuggets aren't deep enough. We kind of knew that going in. But what we really didn't expect was this level of shooting from Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels. The role players of the Timberwolves simply just have not chilled the fuck out, for lack of a better word. And that's pretty hard to beat because Anthony Edwards is trying to take C's of the entire NBA right now. Karl Anthony Towns is fully aware that he's a number 2 and embracing it. That's trouble for all of us because that's the most important factor. Rudy Gobert has a group of wings that don't leave him stranded on islands. So even though he's still inept offensively, he's big and lanky, and he solves a lot of the issues that they needed to solve to tighten up that team. Mike Conley is the perfect vet to watch over this like a good parent. It's tough. That being said, I still think the Nuggets can get into this series and make it interesting, if not still win it. But there are some troubling things to look at. I mean, the depth is obvious. They need at least one of these rookies, Christian Braun they're both actually second-year players. They need Watson. They need Christian Braun. They need one of these 2 guys to step up and have a bigger, consistent impact. I believe Reggie Jackson's hurt. Can we all Google the Reggie Jackson injury? I forgot that he had to walk off the court in the last game, so that adds to another layer. Jamal Murray threw a fucking heating pad on the court, didn't get suspended, but that's
a nuts video.
I think that surely shows you the level of frustration they have, and that, You know, I'll give the Nuggets some credit. The NBA is not calling fouls the way they have, and the Timberwolves are feasting on it. And that's not to discredit a single thing the Minnesota Timberwolves are doing, but they are mugging the shit out of people because they know the NBA is allowing it to better degrees now. And it seems to be taking an advantage not only in this series, obviously, but mentally. If Jamal Murray's throwing towels, Mike Malone's on the court screaming at a ref in the middle of the court, like honestly surprised that man wasn't ejected from the game. You know, you see some troubling signs from the defending champions, and some stuff that, you know, I think was always an issue with Mike Malone, you know, where it's like, I know this is a really good coach, but the rah-rah stick can get very difficult and very tedious on a basketball team, especially one that's won. A lot of the books behind me tell stories of coaches that have won titles and then lost the locker room because of the rah-rah shit. So you're interested to see where that goes. That being said, I still think this is one of the best starting fives. Any Reggie Jackson stuff? Or
there's no real update.
Yeah, Reggie Jackson's just dealing with an ankle injury. That's all.
Yeah, so it's an ankle injury.
It's been nagging him. Apparently,
Well,
been nagging him all year
fucked it up. They had to bring his ass out of there. So that, all right. So look, they're not going to give us a report. It's the playoffs. They don't want anybody to know. He's probably not playing tonight. He's probably not playing game 4. Maybe he plays game 4. Either way, even if he plays, he's going to have to play particularly well, which he hasn't necessarily done either. So it's been a tough series for them. They thought
ankle.
They thought shit was sweet because they were beating up on the stupid ass Lakers. And look, the Lakers were still a decent team, but this is different. This is a very lanky team. This is a superstar in their prime, capable of throwing out 45-minute games and carrying the whole team. This is a team whose second player actually can shoot the ball with consistent impact. This is a team that has an anchor defensively that allows that second player to be more of a scorer instead of having to be a traditional big man. It has a Naz Reid, who's also just this incredible utility player, 6th Man of the Year award winner. So nothing but respect for the Timberwolves. I am going to biasly say I'm starting to root for the Nuggets because I was super excited about this series. And so far, it's been a complete ass kicking.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I'm really just hoping that this. I'm hoping it was just a little push.
I know it's tough to go back to back, but Jesus,
it was tough. And then to do it without Rudy is an interesting conversation. Of course, Rudy didn't play last night because he had a child. So it is interesting to see from that perspective because Rudy's a talented player, but Rudy's got offensive issues that maybe the Nuggets can capitalize on that they couldn't capitalize on in Game 2. So we will have to see. Any other thoughts from those games? All right.
I think Michael Jackson would
not
miss
right
a
now.
playoff game for the birth of a child. Michael
Jordan.
Sorry.
Michael Jackson.
I've got
Michael
a lot
Jordan.
going on over here.
No, I think
Michael
actually
Jordan.
I
though,
got Reggie Jackson news pulled up.
to be nice and kind and fair to Rudy, I believe there was some sort of issue with weather that wasn't allowing flights to get to and from Utah Minnesota. Or I don't know. It might have been Utah actually, because I don't know where his wife is based out of. He could have been still living in Utah. Either way, wherever his wife was, the child was born. Flights delayed, and they couldn't get him in time. So at least there's no more of a reason if people even wanted to take that argument.
It's
but
just
yeah,
it's just funny to think like there are guys who just be like, no.
There's a lot of dudes that be like that. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I think more guys would think they got to do the other way because of PR, and Michael Jordan would just be like, F that. I'm playing basketball.
Exactly. Yeah, Drake would have missed his son's birthday for a Raptors game. But either way, let's get into the final series going on that hits close to home here in Dallas.
Wait, I want to introduce it with a video.
Oh, God. Oh, right.
Certified lover boy, certified pedophiles. Wop, 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 wop. That fuck 'em up. Wop, 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 wop. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor.
Ooh, Josh.
Ooh.
Well, we do need to talk about Josh Giddey from a basketball standpoint, so that's a good way to go into this. The Oklahoma City Thunder host the Dallas Mavericks. Last night was a complete drumming at the hands of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Mavericks were able to play Josh Giddey off the court. Unfortunately, they found out that Aaron Wiggins, Kason Wallace, and Isaiah Joe exist, and those guys can make it rain. Lou Dort also had a few bombs that you don't usually get out of Lou Dort, at least not the bombs that he hit the way he hit them. So it was a tough night. Maybe the Mavs just have to chalk it up to the shooting percentage gods. They also, as we joked about earlier, had a terrible history in game one. Yes, I think that you probably could argue that Jason Kidd thinks he's a prize.
He got an extension, so
Jason Kidd thinks he's a prize fighter, and he thinks that he can take a punch and get back from it. LeBron was able to do that as a player a lot. Interesting to see Jason Kidd seemingly, maybe, potentially.
I am watching the Stars try to do that every single round they play in, so
I think more teams might do it more than they want to. Jason Kidd and co, though, definitely to get their shit together. Tim Hardaway Jr. was terrible. He had to be good because Maxi Kleber is not going to be part of this Mavericks team potentially for the rest of the season, depending on how it goes. And it's just one of those injuries is an AC joint injury in the shoulder. It's basically Julius Randle had this injury early in the season. I think that happened in like February. And we were like, oh, maybe he'll be back. And then eventually they just ended up shutting him down. It's a shitty injury. Maybe there's some luck and it's not as bad for him and he's back soon. That means Derek Lively needs to grow up quickly. Daniel Gafford needs to clean up some of his consistent little things that make him not really the A++ starter that he probably should be. So the issues are fixable. But at the same time, I think that Luka's knee still sort of lingers over all of this. He was awful. He shot like 5 of a billion last night.
6 of 19.
6 of 19. So that's really not the worst in the world. That's just a bad shooting night for a star.
1 of 8 from 3. So that one was rough.
Well, and it's not even just that 1 of 8. It's the fact that if you look at the last series numbers from 3, and then go back to last night and watch the one he made and his reaction to it, that's the concerning part.
I heard
was surprised.
Someone mention before game 1 that it looks like he doesn't have it in his legs when he's shooting those deep shots. I haven't watched enough to confirm if that's true, but that is a report I've heard.
I don't know when the Dallas Mavericks will stop playing basketball this year. One could possibly think that it's happening sooner rather than later after last night.
Yeah.
But I will tell you one spoiler alert for the Mavericks offseason. It's going to begin with a knee surgery for Luka Doncic.
What about the Olympics?
Yeah.
He's gonna probably. I don't know that Luka has any sort of tear, like severe tear.
Just clean up.
I think it's going to be a cleanup scope. It's going to happen as soon as it can so that he can play for Slovenia. But honestly, I wouldn't be that surprised if maybe, I don't know. That's a good question. But yes, if the Mavericks get eliminated sooner, then at least he can get it cleaned up sooner and then he can play in the Olympics. So that's an interesting conversation. Some people are having that conversation about Nikola right now and whether Nikola actually has the desire to win this series or not and defend his championship. So it's interesting talking points you can go with. Actually, do you want to disqualify yourself as being a head coach candidate in the NBA? Look, Colin Cowherd said that if you wear your hat like this, you can't be an NBA coach.
Oh.
He said JJ Redick can't be an NBA coach because he looks like he's going to smoke a bomb on my couch or something is what I think. I don't know what he said.
God,
but I just thought that was another funny note to transition
is he
from
for FS1 or something like that now.
Yeah, and he has his own thing. They broadcast that show, but he has his own volume network. That's what Draymond Green's bullshit is on.
No way.
But you know what? We're not going to end this basketball session on a bad note, unless you guys have anything else from the series going on.
Go Mavs.
Go Mavs. We want to see the Mavericks pull this one out. The Oklahoma City Thunder are young.
It feels like with the Bucks not making it, and with the Nuggets looking weak, this could be your shot. So.
My goal in life is to see a Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum NBA Finals. I would feel bad for the Mavs this year because this would be a very difficult situation for them.
Outside of maybe game 1, Kyrie's been on one, so
that would be the X factor is that you have the killer Kyrie. You have the one man who could probably change everything if he wants to. So It's
We're all playing on a round earth, and he's on a flat one. It gives him an advantage.
you know what? It might. It actually might.
It's good.
But I do want to hit one last basketball point that I'm very happy to talk about. Not just that the WNBA is starting next Tuesday officially. That these ladies
These
are now going to be
games that I was hearing about over the last week.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. They've been playing preseason. They have chartered planes now, so no more DFW trips
Was
to
that
get.
like as of today?
This was very soon. This was yesterday.
Because
the
we
news
all
came
saw
out.
I think we all saw the images and videos of Caitlin Clark going through DFW Terminal A.
And that would be the straw that broke the camel's back.
I wonder
Impressively,
what's different about her versus the other videos we've seen of athletes going through.
Yeah, at that specific airport, where Brittany Griner was accosted by the dingus that likes to go around and make a lot of weird statements at civic conferences and public meetings. Either way, I forget his name and fuck him. He doesn't need a plug anyway. Yes, essentially, Caitlin Clark had to experience a little paparazzi when she landed in Dallas, which hell shocked the shit out of me. But that's how popular this girl is, and they got chartered planes. She's a class act. Of course, she was like, yeah, this should have happened years ago, but glad for the ladies who are here to experience it. Yeah. Oh, and Candace Parker retired. That's important too. So I think that's probably my goat of definitely my generation. Her and Maya Moore are probably tied. Maya Moore has the better trajectory of the few years that Maya Moore was on top. She looked like the best basketball player in women's basketball history. And Candace Parker was essentially the best women's basketball player for 15 to 20 years. So, yeah, shout out to her. She's now in charge of the Adidas thing. You know, I wish I had an update about where the media rights was going to go when it comes to the Maverick or it comes to the NBA, but we don't have an update on that officially. It does look like NBC is probably going to steal Turner and Warner Brothers rights.
Where's Chuck going?
Who knows where they go after that? It looks like it probably means that this is going to be the last year of Inside the NBA, which kind of sucks. But we'll keep looking out for that, and if it happens, we'll talk about it.
The same year Michael Irving gets pulled from us. Come on.
It's tough. Well, don't worry, Michael will be found. Somebody's going to put Michael.
Star Network, yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be fine. Yeah. So that's it for the hoops. There's plenty of beef to discuss, though.
This is Past the Rock.